Welcome once more to another video again in our YouTube channel. So in today's video, we are going to look at the part 2 of subject of a formula. So I recommend that you should watch the other video talking about the case 1 of the topic. Okay, so please, I recommend that you should like the video, subscribe and share to your friends. You can reach me on YouTube via Mathematics Dreamland for Africa, or on WhatsApp via the telephone number displayed to you on your screen. Okay, so please, without wasting much of your time, let's get started. Okay, so today we are going to look at the case 2 and the case 3. Okay, so in the previous video we are dealing with subject with subject raised to power 1. So today we are dealing with subject with odd power. Okay, so in this case the subject at the end has an odd power greater than 1. So greater than 1 is very important here, because if the power, since odd number begins from 1 actually, so the power must be greater than 1. Okay, because if the power is 1, it means we are actually talking about the first case where the subject of the formula is raised to a power of 1. That is why here they specify that the power should be greater than 1. Okay, so note that x cube is the same as taking a bracket x, bracketing x and then taking cubing it. Okay, and negative x cube is the same as negative x other cube. Okay, this is very important when we'll be dealing with case 3, where the subject will be raised to an even power, or even power. Okay, so that is it. So let me say we have 2 cube equals to 8, and if you take the cube root of 8, we are going to have 2. Now it is important to know that there is only one real value obtained when an odd root is taken. Okay, we are going to see where this point here is very important. Okay, so let's look at some of the examples. So example 1, make x the subject of the formula given that 6y power 7 minus 5x power 9 equals to 36 minus f. So now we are actually interested in the term having x. Okay, so since we are not interested in this other term here, it means we are taking this term to the other side of the equation. And you notice that if this term crosses the equality sign, the sign here, which is positive, reverses to a minus sign, which will be negative. Okay, so let's look at the solution. So that is the equation 6y power 7 minus 5x power 9 equal to 36 minus f. Okay, and we are interested in the term having x, therefore we are going to cross this 6y power 7 in the other side of the equation. And if that happens, we have negative 5x power 9 equals to 36 minus f minus 6y power 7. Now we can just rearrange it. We can take this negative 6y power 7 and place it here, and then we take this 36 in the other side of the, we put it this other side. Okay, so at the end of the day we are going to have that, and then we divide all through. Okay, so now we have x power 9 being equal to negative 6 power 7 minus f plus 36 divided by negative 5. So this is what happened before arriving at this point here. Since negative 5 is disturbing this x power 9, we are going to divide all through by negative 5, since the equation is talking about making x the subject, not negative 5x power 9 the subject. Okay, so we are not interested in this 5 here, also this negative 5 here. So we are going to divide all through by 8. Now if you divide all through by negative 5 here, and then divide all side, this other side through by negative 5, this negative 5 that will be in the denominator here will cancel this other negative 5 in the numerator. That is why here x is actually left alone. Okay, now since I've rearranged this equation for me to have negative 6y power 7 minus f plus 36 divided by negative 5, we can actually factor out the negative sign, since we have minus, we have negative, negative and negative here. Now if we factor out the negative sign, this sign here will change to a plus sign, and here will change to a minus sign. Okay, so at the end of the day we are going to have that x power 9 equal to negative times 6y power 7 plus f minus 36. Now here is plus, here is minus, because if I decide to take this negative and expand through here again, I will still arrive at this point up here. Okay, like saying negative times 6y power 7, we are going to have negative 6y power 7, negative times f, we have negative f, and negative times negative 36, we will have positive 36. Since this negative sign here will combine with this other negative sign here, for me to have positive. Okay, so that is it. And you notice again that this negative outside here we cancel this other negative in the denominator. So at the end of the day, we are going to have that the 9 root of 6y power 7 plus f minus 36 divided by 5 is equal to x, or x being equals to 9 root of all this. Okay, now I took the 9 root because I'm making x the subject, not x to the power 9. So when the power is odd, take the odd root on both sides. That is why I took the odd root on both sides here. Like here, it means I would take the odd root, like saying, since there is x power 9, right? So I would take, or do it like this, I'll take the 9 root. So I'll put 9 here, and then this other side too, I do the same. I take the 9 root here also. I'll take the 9 root here. Yeah, such that this 9 here will cancel with this 9 root, the root sign here. Okay, and x will be left alone. So that is how I arrived here. Okay, so yeah, so that is how I arrive here. Okay, because this square root sign here, this 9th root sign, the root sign will cancel with this other 9 here, and that will make x the x alone. Okay, that is why x is equals to the 9 root of 6y power 7 plus f minus 36 divided by 5. Notice that the root sign should affect both this 5 and this other term in the numerator. Okay, yeah, so that is it. So let's continue. Okay, that is x. Okay, now example 2. Make u the subject of the formula, given that 1 plus z times u squared divided by 8 is equal to 1 minus z squared divided by u. Okay, problems of this nature, the best thing for you to do is just to cross multiply. Okay, if you cross multiply and rearrange, you find that it will be easy for you to make the subject of the formula. Okay, so let's look at the solution. So we have 1 plus z times u squared divided by 8 equal to 1 minus z squared divided by u. Now, if I cross multiply, I have, now here I've just cross multiply and then I divide at once by 1 plus z here, because if I cross multiply, this u here will multiply to this other u for me to have u cubed, and this 8 will be multiplied by all this term here for me to have 8 times 1 minus z squared. And then I notice that if that happens, this 1 plus z will be disturbing this u cube. So I will divide all through by the 1 plus z, and I divide here 2 by 1 plus z, such that this 1 plus z here will cancel with this other 1 plus z in the numerator, and u cube will be left alone. Now notice something here. Here it is 8 times 1 minus z squared. So this is actually difference of 2 squared. Okay, this is difference of 2 squared. So we can actually expand this as 1 minus z times 1 plus z, then times 8. Okay, so at the end of the day, we are going to have it like this. Okay, so that is it. And then we notice something again, that this 1 plus z is in the denominator also. So this 1 plus z will cancel with this other 1 plus z. Okay, and at the end of the day, we have u cube being equal to 8 times 1 minus z. So we just take the cube root on both sides, and therefore u equals to cube root of 8 times 1 minus z. So that is our u. All right, so that is it. I hope it is really clear, it is well understood. Okay, so let's continue. For our example, our next example, we have that given the equation, no, it was supposed to be given the equation below. So this is the equation. Given the equation below, show that w equal to half times cube root of 49t minus 35 divided by 3t plus 43 plus 1. Okay, it means we have to manipulate all this equation here for us to arrive here. It looks somehow cumbersome, but it is very easy once you mastermind the topic. Okay, so let's dive into it. Okay, so that is it. So let's look at the solution. So that is the equation displayed to you. So the best thing for us to do here, whenever two equations are given of this nature, like the the terms are given, or a term being equals to another term. So the best thing for you to do is that just cross multiply and then you rearrange for it to come out with the required thing that they have asked you, or the required stuff that they have asked you that you should make the subject. Okay, so this topic is very important when it comes to physics, because physics, they will give you a particular formula that you should look for this. So this is a topic that will really clear a way of mastering all those stuff in physics. Okay, so we notice that here it is actually a quadratic. Okay, so we can condense it. Yeah, we can condense it so that at the end of the day we are going to have that 2w minus 1 times 3t plus 43 divided by 7r being equals to 7t minus 5 divided by r times 2w minus 1 all that squared. Now you notice that if I expand this, I will arrive these points at this point back. So if I say 2w minus 1 times 2w minus 1, then I expand the bracket, I multiply the two bracket, I will see arrive at this point here. So now I've just condensed it. Okay, so that is it. Now I will just cross multiply. So okay, so this is it. Now if I cross multiply, all this term here will multiply to this other term, this other side, and this 7 will multiply with this other term here. Okay, so at the end of the day I have that 2w minus 1 times 3t plus 43 times 2w minus 1 other squared r is equal to 7r times 7t minus 5. But you notice that there is a r here and there's another r here. Yeah, there's an arrow here and there's another arrow here, so that the two arrows can cancel, but you can still cancel it at the end here. So in my case, I will leave the two arrows there, the two arrows. Okay, so we have now notice that if this 2w minus 1 multiply with this other 2w minus 1 all squared, we are going to have 2w minus 1 cube. Okay, now you notice that this arrow and this 3t plus 43 is actually disturbing this 2w minus 1 cube, since we are interested in the term having w. Okay, so it means we are going to divide all through by 3t plus 43 times r. Okay, so at the end of the day we are going to have that 2w minus 1 cube being equal to 7r times 7t minus 5. And you notice that this r can also cancel with this other r here. Okay, it is clear, but since I'm not interested in making r or whatsoever, I'm making w the subject. I can still leave it like that, depends on you, but it's good for you to cancel it. Okay, so since here it is cube, it means we are going to take the cube root on both sides. So if I cube this side and I cube this other side, the cube root side will be cancel. We cancel with this cube here. Okay, so I notice again that this is, we can actually expand this bracket. Okay, we can expand it. Okay, provided we have cancelled this arrow. Let me just say this arrow will cancel this other arrow here. So we have now that 7 times 7 is 49, and 7 times 5 is 35. Okay, so at the end of the day we are going to have this. Now we can take the cube root on both sides. Now if we take the cube root on both sides, at the end of the day we are going to have that 2w minus 1 equals to the cube root of 49t minus 35 divided by 3t plus 43. So now we are interested in making w the subject. Okay, so we are going to take this one and cross it in the other side of the equation, and you notice that here it is -1. Okay, yeah, here it is -1. So if it crosses this equality sign, it will become positive. So at the end of the day we are going to have that 2w equal to cube root of 49t minus 35 divided by 3t plus 43, then plus 1. Okay, so since this 2 is disturbing this w, it means we are going to divide all through by 2, and dividing all through by 2 is like saying multiplying this other side by half. Since if I take the cube root of all this divided by 2 is like saying times half. Okay, so at the end of the day we are going to have that w equal to half times all this, and that is the required proof. So the proof is exactly as the one they asked us in the equation. Okay, yeah, so that is it. So please, as I earlier told you, this topic is very important in mathematics. Yeah, it's very in physics. So this is the topic that help you grab some concept when it comes to those physics formulas that they will be asking you can give you something like under motions equation, can give you the motion equation S equals to ut plus half at squared. Then they ask you that find the acceleration. Okay, so this is the topic that you use, so you have to master the topic. Is very important. Okay, yeah, so that is it. All right, so let's look at the case 3. So we are done with case 1, which is a separate video. I recommend that you should go on YouTube, then you type mathematics Dreamland for Africa so that you see the videos there. So I recommend that you should watch the first video so that you can follow the explanation with the third case and the second case, like the first case, second case, and the third case. Okay, so for you to grab the concept. Okay, so that is it. So let's look at the case 3. So case 3, subject with even power. All right, so in this case, the subject results in an even power. It means what you are looking for will result in an even power, such that you will take the even root of that stuff. Okay, so here care must be taken when dealing with even powers, since two signs result. That is why I was trying to tell you guys about the first part, the notes that I was trying to emphasize on, that when taking the odd root of something, just one real value is obtained, not two. Like here we have two values, the plus or the minus. Okay, that is why here when dealing with odd even powers, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and whatsoever, see n, provided n is even, then you resort to two signs, the plus and the minus signs. Okay, so that is it. Okay, let's say we have 2 power 4, and here, okay, this is the other case that I was talking about, taking negative taking negative of a number, then you cube it. So here we have 2 power 2. Okay, so if I have 2 power 2, is the same as saying taking negative 2 squared, which is equal to 4. But in the case of cube, if I take 2 cube, means 2 times 2 times 2, and if I take negative 2 cube, means negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. You notice that 2 of the negative will combine to form a positive, but 1 of the negative will still be left, which will be multiplied by the positive sign to still have a negative number. So it means if here was actually cube, here I will have negative 8 instead, not just 8. And also, if x squared equals to 5, it implies that x equals to plus or minus root 5. So this is actually different from when we are taking a cube or the odd root, because with the odd root we just have one real value. Okay, yeah, so that is it. All right, now note, when dealing with physical quantities such as length, area, volume, time, etc., the value are never negative. Like in this case here, let's just define our acceleration to be let's just define our length to be x. Okay, therefore x is just equals to root 5, not minus root 5. Okay, now not in mathematics, if I write 5, it actually means positive 5. Okay, I must not include this positive sign here. If I just write 5, it means positive 5. Yeah, so if I write 1, it means positive 1. Like this x here, it actually means positive x. But if there was a minus here, it means, like here, it means that is a minus x. Okay, so writing positive number don't actually mean you should include a positive there. Yeah, but that holds for some topics, like what, like that, but anyway, that is not really important here. Yeah, but the positive sign will be actually useful to some topics. Okay, so that is it. So physical quantities like length, area, volume, time, etc., the value are never negative. So if you are calculating okay, let me just use this example for the motions equations. Like I'm calculating my time, and then I arrive, maybe I have a quadratic equation, then I solve, and then I have, let's say my time is x, then I have my x being two values. I cannot say that x equal to negative of something seconds, because time can never be negative. Okay, so we just conclude that the positive value is the time. Okay, that is why there's no need of you including the negative sign there. So that is it. All right, so let's look at some of the examples under subject with even powers. Okay, example 1. The centripetal force F acting on a revolving body of mass m around a circular path with radius r and period t is given by F equals to 4 pi squared mr divided by t squared. Now the question is, make t the subject. Okay, so let's look at the solution. F equals to 4 pi squared mr divided by t squared. So in this case, we also just cross multiply. So this is actually simple. Just cross multiply and then rearrange. Okay, so if we cross multiply, we have this t squared we multiply with this f. So we have ft squared. Okay, being equal to 4 pi squared mr. Now, since f is disturbing the t squared, we are going to divide all through by f. Okay, so at the end of the day, we have ft squared divided by f being equal to 4 pi squared mr divided by f. Yeah, so that is it. So we are going to have that t squared equal to 4 pi squared mr divided by f, because this f here will cancel with this other f here. Okay, that is why the t squared now is left alone. Okay, but there is something important according to this, what I explained earlier here. This x being equal to plus or minus root 5. So you notice that here, if I take the square root on both sides, right, I will have the plus or minus square root of 4 pi squared mr divided by f. Okay, so that is it. But in this case, we are not going to include the two signs, the plus or minus. So we are going to see it. Okay, so if that is done, if I take the square root on both sides, I'm going to have that t equals to square root of 4 pi squared mr divided by f. Now, why is there no plus or minus? Because period is time, so it cannot be negative, as I earlier explained here. Physical quantities such as length, area, volume, time, etc., the value are never negative. So that is why the plus or minus is not included here. Okay, so that is it. So let's look at example 2. So example 2 makes here a subject of the formula given that 4gh minus h equal to 4ht divided by h plus c all that squared. Okay, so all right, so that is it. Now, as I earlier explained, the best thing for you to do here is just to cross multiply here. Yeah, that is the best thing for you to do here. Just cross multiply, and at the end of the day, I'm going to have that if I cross multiply here, this term here, this h plus c other squared will multiply with 4gh minus h, and at the end of the day, we are going to have that 4gh minus h times h plus c other squared will be equal to 4ht. Now, since I'm interested in making c the subject, it means I'm not interested in this other term here, so it means I will divide all through by this term. If that happens, I'm going to have that h plus c other squared equal to 4ht divided by 4gh minus h. Now, notice something here. We can actually factor out h here so that the h can cancel this other h here at the numerator. Okay, but we are actually making c the subject, not h, so we are not actually interested in making or factorizing h or what. So that depends on you. You can actually factorize the h and cancel it out. Okay, so notice that we have a square here, so it means we are going to take the square root on both sides. Okay, so if that happens, we are going to have that h plus c being equals to plus or minus square root of 4ht divided by 4gh minus h. Notice that here we have plus or minus because it was not specified by the equation that for some value greater than this. Maybe there was supposed to be, like, let me say, for c greater than 0, it means we are going to neglect the negative sign. And if the question was for c less than 0, it means we are going to neglect the positive sign. Okay, so that is it. Now, since I'm making c the subject, it means I'm not interested in h, so I'm going to cross h the other side of the equation. At the end of the day, I'm going to have c being equals to plus or minus square root of 4ht divided by 4gh minus h, then minus h. Okay, but here, as I earlier said, you can factor out h such that this h here will cancel the other h in the denominator, but this h must still be there. Okay, so it depends on you. So that is it, and that is C. All right, so that is C, that will make the subject of the formula. Okay, so now let's solve number 3 of case 3. All right, make h the subject for h greater than 0. This part here is very important. For h greater than 0, so h should be strictly greater than 0. All right, so the question is, make h the subject for h greater than 0. So we have d minus a times h power 4 divided by c being equal to xt minus 3 divided by 9. Okay, so let's look at the solution. So that is it. And as I earlier explained, just cross multiply here, and then you rearrange for you to have your required for the required thing that you were asked to make the subject. Okay, so let's just cross multiply and then we do things. Now you notice that this 9 will multiply with this other term here, so we have this, and this c will multiply with this other term here. Okay, so we have this. So at the end of the day, we have 9 times d minus a times h power 4 being equal to xt minus 3 times c. Okay, so now we are actually making h the subject, so it means we are not interested in this term here, this 9 times d minus a. Okay, so it means we are going to divide all through by 8. So at the end of the day, we have xt minus 3 times c divided by d minus a times 9 being equal to h power 4. Yeah, it's the same thing. You can still divide all through so that h power 4 will be in this other side, and this other term will be in this other side of the equation. So it's still the same thing. Okay, so now since it is the even root, so it means we are going to take the fourth root on both sides. If we take the fourth root on both sides, we are going to have that okay, let's first of all note something important here for this part. Okay, note if h power 4 equal to n, therefore h is equal to plus or minus root n. This is very important. Okay, so it means since h is equal to plus or minus root n, it means at the end of the day my h will be equal to plus or minus fourth root of all this. Okay, oh, actually here there's a mistake here. It was supposed to be fourth root of n. Yeah, it was supposed to be fourth root of n, not square root of n. Okay, so just put the 4 here. It was supposed to be fourth root there. Okay, so that is it. All right, so at the end of the day we are going to have that. So here was supposed to be a fourth root where, yeah, at the end of the day we are going to have that h equal to the fourth root. So it was supposed to be the fourth root here. H equals to the plus or minus the fourth root of xt minus 3 times c divided by d minus a times 9. So that is h. All right, so therefore, but now there is something important here also. See, include the 4 here. It was supposed to be a 4 here. That is a typo error. Okay, yeah, the fourth root of all this. Now there's something important. Since the equation specifies that for h greater than 0, it means we are going to neglect the value for h less than 0. Now for h to be less than 0, it means that we are going to look at the negative. It means h is actually negative since it is less than 0. But now the equation said for h greater than 0, yeah, for h greater than 0 means that I'm going to neglect the negative sign, so I would just take the positive sign, and therefore h should be equals to the fourth root of all this since h is greater than 0. Okay, yeah, so that is it. All right, so I'm going to give some assignments that you can present a solution via. You can present a solution in the comments or in the comment section, or you can present it on WhatsApp via the telephone number displayed to you on your screen. All right, so let's look at the assignment. Okay, assignment 1, make h the subject given that v equals to pi r squared h divided by c. So you have to make h the subject. Okay, assignment 2, we have given that a equals to p times 1 plus square root of r on t, express t in terms of a, p, and r. So please thank everyone for watching. So this is the end of the video. So I recommend that you should like the video, share to your friends. As I earlier said, this topic is very important in physics. Yeah, use this topic to manipulate physics concepts, especially those they are formulas. Okay, so okay, see you guys in another video. Thank you.